media and music is made by Joe X Mama.
For as long as I've had a computer, I have always loved learning random tech skills. I started with music on FL Studio, which I still do to this day. I then learned video editing on VSDC Video Editor. If you know what that is, congratulations. Today, I do music, video editing, visual effects, and some graphics design. The one that I have avoided with all of my heart is Blender. Sort of. I downloaded Blender like a million years ago before I even had my first GPU, and I didn't even know how to delete the starter cube, so I just deleted Blender. I genuinely do not remember any of it, so I don't even count that as me learning 3D modeling. Once I got into VFX with After Effects, I knew it was going to be a matter of time until I got into 3D modeling for my videos. Hi, that time is now. You don't know me, but if you did, you would know I don't like to do things normally. I can't learn Blender like a normal person. I gotta do it in some silly, quirky way like a YouTuber would. I learned Blender in 24 hours. I did. Obviously, it wasn't 24 hours straight. If it was, I would have learned nothing. I would have spent like the first 5 hours doing a pretty good job, maybe the next 6 kind of loafing around trying to make it look like I'm trying, and the rest would just be sleeping. Not a very good use of my time. Instead, I'm going to settle for a plan I came up with. I am going to be recording 8 separate 3-hour-long sessions so that every hour is utilized to its fullest. I have energy, I've slept, I've eaten dinner, it's nighttime. Pretty much just leaving myself with the video and bedtime. Also, in order for my hours to count, I have to be doing one of 3 things. I have to be using Blender, I have to be watching a video on Blender, or I have to be Googling questions about Blender. Now, I'm gonna be honest, the results were way more than I was expecting. How would you start learning Blender? Because I would start by downloading it, which I did. One thing I would like to mention is that I am not the average guy. I am entering this challenge with multiple different creative softwares under my belt. With that knowledge, I thought this 24-hour challenge would be a wonderful opportunity for me to display my skills. So, when I opened Blender, the first thing I did was see how much I could do with no tutorials. Oh my gosh, what the heck is this? Is this keyframing back here? What? How do I move? Okay. Center mouse, move around, move. Oh, I can move. Wait, is this move? Oh, that's just to move it around. Oh, shoot. Thought it was me. Rotate. Oh, okay. This is like Roblox. It's like Roblox. What did that do? No. Come on. I wasn't scared. All right, I'll do shift spacebar and I do bevel. Let's see what happens if I were to bevel. Oh, yeah. Yep. That's it, guys. I'm an artist. Okay. Let's see. I could... Whoa. Oh. So I beveled that, and then I beveled that, and then I beveled that, and then I bevel. And... Yo. Hey, guys. I would like to pitch you guys my porcupine model. I'm selling this thing for about $100. Blender is easy. Oh, hold on. I'm really curious. Just one more. Y'all think I could do one more? Yo! What about, let's see, spin? What? No way! Guys, this is for racer! I'll just select the whole dang thing, okay? And we spin it. Guys! Oh my gosh! Whoa. What? Oh, look at that Z clashing. That's creepy. Where did my mouse go? I don't know what I did. I gotta control Z that. Okay. Knife. We're gonna knife this John. Oh, what the heck? I think that's good. Do I just... Oh, what? Hey, guys. How good's my topology? Should I post this on Blender? Now, in retrospect, it wasn't that crazy. But it was an experience that I can't get back. You can only tinker with Blender for the first time once. And it was quite fun. After all that wacky fidgeting with all those tools, it was time to crack open the tutorials. Anyone who has used Blender knows exactly what tutorial I'm talking about. For the non-Blender users, I have a quiz. Okay, riddle me this, Batman. Was the first item I modeled A, a landscape, B, a donut, C, a character ring, or D, Saddam Hussein? Well, if you chose D, then your answer would be wrong. I modeled a donut. It's not D. Enjoy this pretty cool time lapse of me modeling Saddam Hussein. Yeah, so I cracked open Blender Guru's 5-hour-long tutorial about modeling a donut in Blender.
This is Blender. Okay.
The video is actually very solid in my opinion. I like the video. First, I learned the general maneuvering controls, like looking around or doing simple transformations, scaling, moving, you know, the usual. We learned to add some materials and how to press F12 to render. It was pretty fun. The first thing I rendered was this. It's a green monkey with a hat. His name is Carlito. Actually, for one of my classes, I tested putting a 3D model into After Effects, so I used Carlito, and I put him on my keyboard. Pretty cool thing. Keyboards are outstanding motion trackers. Apparently, every little key on that board is a motion tracker point. So, motion tracking him to the keyboard was easy. Pretty cool in my opinion. You can also see that I have no shadows because I refuse to use HDRIs. More on that later. Oh yeah, and there's probably 1,000 people who have their first render something like this because there's like millions of people who have followed the Blender tutorial. Okay, maybe not millions, maybe thousands, but still. With the monkey out of the way, I started on my first actual model, or what we would really be modeling in this video. The donut. There isn't really much to say about how I modeled the donut. Just a little brief overview was I made an ellipse, I subdivided it, I deformed it, I made an icing layer from the top of the donut, solidified it, deformed it, detailed it, colored it, textured it, and added some sprinkles. He also had us download a texture. I personally didn't want to do that, so I just skipped it. I didn't really want to. I want to quickly talk about the sprinkles though. The sprinkles use these things called geometry nodes. They're like these little blocks that you kind of move around in order to make stuff. They're really complex, but once you understand them, the sky's the limit. The way we added sprinkles in the tutorial was not by manually copying each sprinkle one by one, but instead we used geometry nodes to pick points on the surface of the icing and then to place tiny spheres or sprinkles on them. Geometry nodes are kind of scary, but I personally see a lot of opportunity in them, which is why I was pretty excited. By the way, using geometry nodes to paste sprinkles all around the frosting is a thing called instancing. More on that later. After all of that, day one was coming to an end. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I can't count. Counting negative now. I copped my day one render of my donut and got ready for day two. Oh yeah, I also had some pretty bad allergies throughout this video, so please excuse me blowing my nose. Anywho, on day two, I finished up all the geometry node business. Got that boy done. I learned how to use weight paint to tell the geometry nodes where to put the tiny little spheres. Yes, I refuse to call them sprinkles. That's foreshadowing. Because at this point in time, we got to modeling real sprinkles. Yay! We made 4 different types of sprinkles. A small one, a medium one, a large one, and a bent one. We duped our super ugly moldy donut, and we got to putting real sprinkles on it. I'm sure you know, unlike a sphere, real sprinkles aren't omnidirectional. So the second I pasted my sprinkles onto my donut, I was instantly horrified by the sight. All of my sprinkles have organized in unison to salute the day. Looks kind of gross. This is why we use geometry nodes. We take every instance and we modify its rotation with a rotation node. The problem that I ran into is that this video is kind of old. It's made in like Blender 3 point something, I don't know. This version I was on when I made this video was 4.4. Back in the tutorials, ye old days of ye old time, the rotation node that they used was called Euler rotation. But the problem is that that node isn't hip anymore. The Gen Zers don't use it. What's hip nowadays is the rotate rotation node. Me and my homies, we love the rotate rotation node. It's really not that much different. You just use that node instead of the other node and make sure to toggle on local. Also, I had to look for this information in the comments section, so thank you, the Iced Tea 5896, for letting us know. Also, I actually didn't get that information from their comment. I got the information from one of the recent comments by Dead One Mistress, so thank you. Anywho, after getting our sprinkles to look on point, it was time to start messing with the colors. Now, you could easily just change the colors of each sprinkle, but people would see through our disguise. Each short sprinkle would be like green, each medium sprinkle would be red, each large sprinkle would be blue, and then each bench sprinkle would be pink. There's a problem with that, is that that's not how sprinkles are in real life. I think this is a pretty cool problem to teach a pretty cool lesson in the video. We went into the shading tab, and on the material that all of the sprinkles were sharing, we assigned a random value from 0 to 1 to that sprinkle, which would reflect in their color, black to white. We then took that random value of the sprinkles and kind of cut them up into ranges using a color ramp node. To me, this was really clever because I was able to control the ratio of which sprinkle was yellow. Like if I wanted more yellow sprinkles, I could increase the range, and now I have like 60% more yellow sprinkles than blue sprinkles, right? I think this is just a pretty clever trick. He then showed us how to make some of the metallic, but I wasn't really that interested in having metallic sprinkles. I don't know, I feel like my feelings would break, so I just skipped it. We then got into rendering, specifically using a rendering engine called Cycles. And it looks pretty good, better than default Eevee. Unfortunately, after this, one of the most painful and shameful parts of the tutorial hit me. He asked us to model a plate by ourselves. And judging by what I've seen other people do, it's pretty hard, at least with the knowledge we have so far. To give him credit, up to this point, we've pretty much gotten enough knowledge to model the plate, but you really gotta think hard and spend a lot of time, and I wasn't really willing to do that. Kind of. I did cave and end up watching the video to see how he made it, but I didn't do it without trying.
Oh, goodness. Definitely may want some more vertices. Nothing too crazy, like... How could I do that? Like... I gotta pay the prices for being dumb. Whew.
So my problem was I didn't know to solidify it with the solidify modifier. This just didn't occur to me. And I also had a really hard time beveling it. It was just hard. Now I think I know how to make that work, but whatever, that's in the past. We're focused on the future. So my plate kind of sucked, so I remade it, kind of following him, not really. You be the judge of how much I did and didn't. The rest of the day was just me putting my donut on the plate and then rendering it. I was almost at the end of the 5-hour tutorial. All I had to do was to add some sunlight, some compositing, make a setting, and animate a camera, of which I only did half of. I wanted to score some more time for the rest of the video, so I kind of cut out all the stuff that I didn't really think I really needed to do or really to learn at that moment. I didn't really care to make an enclosure for my donut, plus half of the stuff was from that site I didn't want to sign up for, so I didn't want to spend the rest of the video modeling stuff for my enclosure to look pretty. I just wanted to get onto other things. I decided to render what I had and call it a day. Here's my render. It's a pretty yummy looking donut. With that out of the way, it was time for my next project. Got any ideas what it was? I'm sure you don't.
Obviously, the donut wasn't the purpose of this tutorial. I mean, yeah, I get a donut out of it, you know? But no, what I'm actually here for is the skills. But I really want to make a sauce cup. This is so weird. The nether sauce. I had some nether flame sauce. And not gonna lie, ting was kind of yummy. But then I imagine, how cool would it be for me to have that little sauce packet, but it's like, whoosh, whoosh, right?
Yeah. I wanted to make a nether flame sauce cup. I recorded this video a long time ago, and at that time, the Minecraft movie was the thing. So the plan, I jumped into Blender with a mission. I started off with an image on a square. Of course, I had to stretch it to be proportionate. I don't know, I just kind of eyeballed it. The next thing was to crease the corners. Now, there are many ways I could have done that. I could have subdivided it and, I don't know, used a multiple selection thingamadoodle. I don't know, right? There's many ways you could do it. But the way I chose were to cut the corners and to manually move the vertices. Not bad, not good. It's done. Now it was time for the sauce cup. Now, a McDonald's sauce cup from the side looks like 3 parts. You got the lid, you got the lip, and then you got the body. I got the lid, so I'll need like 2 cubes. Oh yeah, there's a lip on the body. Okay, 3 cubes.
Along the x-axis to that. Yo, this is going amazing. Okay. Holy crap. Was it I? Yes. Yes. We're intruding. All right. Okay. Let's see. How much should I? Probably not a whole lot. And then if I were to extrude a tiny bit, holy crap, I'm going to intrude again. And then I'm going to extrude it a lot. Holy crap. Already looks like a thingamadoodle. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to edit mode. I'm going to scale this down.
So now I wanted to round the edges of the cup. This was super duper easy. All I had to do was select the edges, Control B to bevel, and then just round them. And for safety, clamp the bevel so it didn't like bevel into itself. Now, I wanted to bevel all of the edges at the same time so that they would be the same like roundness or whatever. So I would have to get the lip and the body built at the same time, which I did. And once it was done, it was time to bevel.
Control and then bevel. Okay, well, something bad happened.
Yeah, it went south. I worked around this by remaking the cup, but this was just a temporary fix. The problem came back later to haunt me. I had the cup with its beveled vertical edges. Now it was time to bevel the horizontal edges.
I don't know how to bevel. I only got 20 seconds left. That's real tough. All right, turn up that volume.
3, 2, 1.
Amen.
Yeah, I got stuck on this for the rest of the 3 hours. It was so bad, I took the r/blender help to get some help. With my post marinating on Reddit, I went to sleep. Is what I would have said if I wasn't a problem solver. I kept looking into the problem after the video in hopes of figuring out, and I did. I didn't want to waste more time on the next day figuring it out, and I wasn't sure that the blender help would really help. I don't know. Some posts get help, some posts don't. It really depends on the question. A lot of simple ones get answered, but I didn't even know if this was a simple one. I also figured out the problem like minutes after the video ended, so I didn't really waste a lot of time. In retrospect, maybe I shouldn't have, but I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I commented on the Reddit post saying, "False alarm, guys. I got it solved. But thank you." And then I actually went to sleep. I talk about the solution the next day.
So I ended up fixing the problem.
Yeah, so my problem was I didn't apply the scale. I assumed that it would once I hit OK, but it didn't. In a weird way, it kind of makes sense. Like, when I scale a picture or a clip in editing software, once I'm done scaling it, that isn't the new size of the picture. That's just a transformation on top of that picture. It's not the new picture. That's kind of how scaling in Blender works. Anywho, With the beveling out of the way, the sauce cup looks almost finished. All I needed to do was add the grooves on the side. I first tried using cylinders, but it kind of looked bad, and at the time I didn't know how to use booleans, so I quickly scrapped that. My next idea was a compromising one, but a working one. I intruded the faces on the side, and then I like popped them out. I then flattened the top of them to be flush with the cup. Finally, I beveled the edges to make them look smooth. And with that, voila, grooves. I then tossed on some temporary colors and got to keyframing. I wanted the cup to spin slowly, and then once the logo was like kind of out of view, I wanted to just quickly whoosh, whip around and be back to where it was, and I want it to be a seamless loop. This went pretty smoothly with me quickly looking at the donut tutorial just to, you know, touch up my keyframe knowledge a little bit, at least for Blender. I actually have a lot of knowledge with keyframing. I've used different keyframe editors and value graph editors and different video software, so nothing I'm shy of. I got the little spin working out pretty nicely, and now it was time for me to get my render looking good. The first thing I did for that was to make sure my materials looked good. This is where I kind of fell into a bit of an issue. I spent a painstakingly long time trying to make the materials look good. I made the foil like metallic-y and it looked really cool, but then when I went to go to like the actual like viewport render or what the render would actually look like, it looked like crap, like bad. Why does it look good in the like viewport display and then it looks bad in the actual render? Yeah, turns out there's like a default HDRI that comes with the viewport display thingamadoodle, so yeah, didn't look good for me. The big problem was I didn't have a cool environment for my metallic foil to reflect, so it just looked bland. The second problem I had was much worse. My OBS stopped recording, and I didn't know. No biggie. The thing is for the rest of the video, I was just exporting my render and watching Blender videos. I did add some pretty cool motion blur to it though. It's actually kind of funny. I didn't know how much it didn't record because I didn't look back at it. I just thought I didn't press record, not that it stopped recording like halfway through. So I made not one, but two videos with me explaining after the fact, trying to be like, guys, I promise I did my day 3, I promise. But now that at least we have most of the evidence, it's not really necessary. Anywho, here is my cool render of another flame sauce cup spinning. I made it a GIF, and that concludes day 4. On with the next. I started the day having no idea what I was going to make next. At first, I thought maybe I could make a cool JXM logo with some text. I could make a spin like I have in other projects. By the way, those were made in Panzoid, and that doesn't count as 3D modeling. But yeah, I didn't like this idea for a pretty simple reason. It was too easy. The point of this video is for me to conquer challenges and to learn from them, not to do something I already know how to do. For your information, all you gotta do is make the text tool and then like type in it. It's not that hard. I don't want to just exercise skills I already know. I need to learn. Anywho, after some brainstorming, I decided to settle on the idea of modeling an SD card modeled after the SanDisk SD card. Pure enthusiasm. This was a whole area of modeling that I haven't even learned yet. I'm still not sure this was the best way to do it, so if you are an experienced Blender user and you are watching this video, please comment a better way to do it in moderate detail. I will read it. One thing I want to make clear, this was really boring. Like, this was the most boring part of the video. I kind of felt like I was just slaving away at something I didn't care about. I really didn't want to make the SD card, but I just didn't know what else to make. I'm pretty sure this was the most bored I was in this entire project. Anyways, here's a little montage. No, montages are entertaining. Sorry for this cringe, but here's a yawn-tage. So I got all my outlines done. Then I made the faces, and now I was ready to get stuck again. This time, it was just my stupidity. Don't judge me, topology freaks. But for this SD card, I pretty much wanted everything to be like one face. And that meant the entire front of the SD card. There was one problem though. The entire front face is broken up by a circle. If you don't know anything about 3D modeling, you can't make a face that is broken up by a hole. It was a big time waster. Figuring that out. Hey, you know what? At least it got me to fix my normals. Anywho, I finished the night with the SD card mostly done. I gave it a material. I failed to add an image to the sticker and then called it a day for day 5. Day 6, I spent way too long learning about UV unwrapping and texturing. Honestly, it was kind of a good thing. It helped me out in the long run. I polished the SD card with some materials and a texture. With a mostly done product, I jumped into keyframing. I went with just a pretty simple spin. Finally, I slapped some weird text on the back in my favorite font. Here's my render as a cool GIF. You can pause the video if you want to read it. It's a reference to an upcoming YouTube series I'm making, by the way. It's called P20. I decided to start my render, kick my feet back, and start looking for some free materials. I know looking for materials wasn't one of the things, but it's still Blender related, okay? I started looking for these materials because I felt that I was finally ready for the big project, the thing I really wanted to do in Blender. I want to make worlds and put myself in them. I mean, I'm on a green screen right now. Like, isn't that kind of obvious? I just love the idea of hopping in front of a green screen knowing I could be anywhere. My green screen is a portal to anywhere I can dream of. I'ma coin that, Joe X Mama. Anywho, I spent the last bit of the video just making a tree. Pretty simple tree. I found a video, pretty simple video, about making low poly trees. So I just followed along. I slapped down some vertices, I joined them, making them edges, and then I tossed a skin modifier on top of that to give it some like depth. I don't know, but I thought it was really cool because it took these edges and made it like a solid shape. Definitely more than the solidify modifier would have done. I then touched up the thickness and I was pretty much done with the base of my tree. Now I gotta make some leaves. Pretty simple. We're going low poly style. Let's just take an icosphere, give it a low subdivision count, and voila, you got a tree. Now that I got these wonderful textures, let's try them out. Yeah, this is where I started running into problems. The leaves were fine. I just tossed on a grass texture. Yeah, that's the Roblox dev part of me coming out. Yeah, I tossed on a grass texture for leaves. And then I slapped on a bark texture onto the base of the tree. That's not bark. That's brown. Yeah, so this problem, I was kind of stuck on it for the rest of the video. It wasn't a big time loss since I was pretty much almost done anyway, so whatever. Funny thing is, when I was trying to fix this problem with the last bit of time I had, I actually got carried away. And this was the first time I got carried away in the video. I was surprised by the timer running out.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no. What the heck? I ran out of time. Oh, crap. You can see it. Come on. Oh, come on.
Anyways, cue the second time I asked r/Blender help for some help. And this time, I did not figure out the problem after the fact. I just went to bed. And with that, I braced for the next day.
500 cigarettes.
The first thing I did was check Reddit, and oh my goodness, people responded! Yeah, remember when I spent a long time trying to learn to UV unwrap? Well, I didn't spend long enough.
Yo!
All I had to do was to smart UV project and boom, it worked like magic. Magic! Thank you, Crushord. Your wisdom was not in vain. Anywho, with that out of the way, I jumped straight into making my skybox. Or what you guys in Blender call it in HDRI. But wait, I can't make HDRIs. And I don't want to go download some random HDRI because look, all of them are like water and trees and buildings and stuff that is not in my setting. It wouldn't be reflecting everything properly. Plus, I don't have any control over what's in it. I just got to pick one that works best. I just want a normal skybox like in Roblox. I know, it's cringe. At least I have control over its contents. So I settled for an image texture, which is just the wrapping an image around the world. I don't know why image textures aren't more supported. Like, I couldn't find any of them on the internet that were good enough to wrap around my world. Each one of them had this weird origin point, either up or down, and it got kind of annoying, so I just made my own. Anywho, with that out of the way, I jumped straight into terrain. This is probably what I'm going to be doing most in Blender anyways. I'm in a square, I subdivided the crap out of it, and then I decided to make it look like some terrain using the sculpting tab. Now, do you remember when I said I would yap more about instancing? You know, the sprinkles on the donut? Yeah, it's that time. I love the fact that the donut tutorial actually had instancing and picking points on a surface with geometry nodes, because if you think about it, that's what nature does. Kind of. With trees. I feel like using geometry nodes to paste those around the map is the single reason why I was able to do so much in this video. Now, at this point, you don't know that, but that's what I call foreshadowing. Once I had my points randomly placed around the map, I used weight paint to pick where the trees would grow. I was able to keep the trees from growing on like really steep hills or areas I just didn't want no trees. Now, I only modeled one tree for the sake of time, so the rotate rotation node was also extremely helpful. I mean, even if I modeled multiple, it would still be very helpful. I was able to give myself at least a little bit of variety by using the random rotations. See, that tree isn't oriented like the other one, but it is the same tree. After slapping down some baller trees, I wanted some grass. There goes the next 30 minutes of my life and the video. I tried to make some grass with the hair particle thingamadoodle, but that worked pretty bad. It did not work out well. And it was so bad that I ended up just scrapping that, and there goes 30 minutes. Yay. Whatever. I won't waste any more time. I wasted more time. It wasn't the end of the 3 hours yet. I still had a whole hour to go. Maybe I could fix this problem, is what I said to myself. Right before I drained my last hour on this stupid problem. You will not believe your eyes when I tell you what this problem was. It wasn't that type of fireflies. In Blender, when you render, sometimes you can get these little noise artifacts. They're just extremely bright pixels. They're usually really bright, or they're just pure white because there's just so much light concentrated at that one point on the screen for some random reason. Now, normally you're supposed to fix this by clamping or whatever, but that never worked for me. It was so bad that I just had to, instead of fixing the source of the problem, I just had to fix it in post by going to the compositing tab and adding a denoiser. What a waste. At least I had barely enough time at the end to make some water. Man, all I literally did was take a square, scale it up, and make it blue and transparent. That's water. Here is my final render of the day. It's not bad. It's nothing crazy. I'm still pretty satisfied with it. It's pretty good, so we'll do. On with the next day. Now, this day was packed. Before I started the 3 hours, I shot a video of me in front of my green screen eating a rice cake. Yeah, I had no better ideas. I green screened myself out pretty crappily and exported it.
$280 frames of that. Is that too much?
I didn't know if Blender was going to take my MOV, so I exported it as an image sequence, and no, the MOV was fine. It worked. So now I have 280 pictures of myself. So if someone decides to hold me at gunpoint demanding 280 pictures of myself in sequence, then Also, excuse how noisy and bad it looks. After Effects can't fix noisy camera and bad green screen, whatever. I got that fixed later, okay? Anywho, I decided to start on the water, and at this point is probably one of the most proudest moments of my Blender career, is when I figured out how, in the shading tab, to use nodes to make the water look wavy. Yes, wavy. I found a node called wave texture, and by fiddling around, I found out that if I connected it to the roughness of the material, it would change how light bounced off of it, making it look like it was waves. Yes, waves. The best part is that the node allowed you to distort the waves to make it look even more watery. This left me with some pretty awesome looking low budget water. After this though, something was pretty apparent. It's kind of gross how there's water over grass. Water doesn't grow over... Grass doesn't grow underwater. Where is it gonna get the oxygen? It ain't got gills. So I wanted to be able to change the texture. Thankfully, I downloaded a like pebbles texture or something. I don't know, rocks, all right? Rocks are underwater, that's good enough for me. And so I ended up finding a video on how to like add different materials to the same like surface plane or whatever. And I mean, it did the job, but I don't know. I feel like there's gotta be a better way to do it. So, like I said, I'm really piggybacking on the experts here. If you know a better way to do this, please, 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 please comment down below. I will read it. I will appreciate your response, please. So I got that done, looking pretty good. I mean, I'm not going for nothing Picasso, but to me, this is Picasso. Then I decided to slap myself into Blender. Yeah, I imported the MOV into a mesh plane, which I don't know what that means. It just plays the video, okay? After this, I kind of shamefully looked up a video on how to make my like 2D mesh plane self stare at the camera like it's a 2D plane and it's always facing the camera, just because, you know, I didn't want to have to deal with no problems with depth. You lose some, you win some. It's weird. It kind of bugs me though, because the tutorial had me do it with geometry nodes and a bunch of crap, when now in like post I know that I could have just added a constraint and like a few clicks and it would have been done, but no, I had to do this whole arrangement with geometry nodes. Yeah, that was kind of annoying. Anyways, I quickly animated the camera moving around me, and then I braced to dump an hour into sculpting. Before I did this day of Blender, I asked my girlfriend what I should do to add more life to my scene. Her, being the sole reason my Jeep has ducks in it, told me to model a duck. So I did. Besides the duck crashing my Blender once, I liked him. It's pretty cute. His name is Quackers. I animated him floating down the lake and jumped on to the next thing, referencing my previous work. Yes, not even 24 hours into Blender, and I'm already referencing some of my other 3D modeling work. I slapped down the nether flame sauce next to a tree, and then I slapped down the SD card underneath a tree and called it good. At this point, I was hustling to get everything done. I touched up my skybox, image texture, set up my render settings.
What? Why is that still blue?
And animated the tree swaying to give it a little bit of life. Finally, I was done. Well, not really. I wanted to add more foliage and maybe some rocks, but the timer had other plans. 24 hours and I did it! What a journey. And now that I've done it, I can confidently say it was worth it. I am very satisfied with the results that this yielded. Actually, I'm more than satisfied. Anywho, I can't keep you waiting. This was my final render. I wanted to make a project with my newfound skills from this video. Something that isn't restricted by time or a challenge. Full creative freedom. It took me a good while, besides me beating the Valheim Ashlands update.
Oh my god. That.
I spent a good week on this project though. And what was it? A silly music video. It's just a gag. It's called ChickfilA song. I made this song in FL Studio while joking around with one of my friends. Then another one of my friends the one I beat Valheim with, shh, had the big brain idea to make a music video. Definitely one of the music videos of all time. This made me want to as well. A brief overview of the project is, this is my setting. You can see I got Chick-fil-A, some terrain, and some little details like the billboard. I made each shot by importing an MOV of myself and then using a camera to make the shot. I then exported the shot and then put it into DaVinci Resolve. Yes. That's right, DaVinci Resolve. This video took me so long to make, I switched video editors. Protect your wallet. I then color graded it and added some one-off effects. Finally, adding some text following the lyrics. I could go on and on about the benefits of DaVinci Resolve, but that's for another video. Stay on the lookout for that video. One thing that I'm most proud to say is that the whole music video, minus the music software, was made in completely free software.
If you have a decent computer, you can do this.
The only thing stopping you is you. Do something cool while you can, and don't waste your potential. Anywho, this is what I made.
ChickfilA, it will make your day. It's my pleasure, is what they say. I need a chicken finger for the chicken singer. I don't got no rainbow on my page to be shown. My mind's blown. I graduated from home. Got some Chick-fil-A sauce, hitting like a boss. Every day I eat, I feel no loss. The chicken's so good, I don't need to floss.
Wow, what a cool video. I love art like this. I've never seen it before. That's why I made it. Blender is an awesome software made by people who love the sport. I recommend it to everyone now because it's so easy to open and start creating. It is a blessing to everyone that it is free. The people who made it really love their users. There's not much software out there that's like it. And that's what makes Blender so special. Thank you, Blender. Thank you, Blender Guru. Thank you, DaVinci Resolve. Thank you, my good friend Koo. And thank you.